Hey, Mike, what do Kelly Slater and PT have in common?
I don't know. They're both world champs?
Nope, they both own Endless Summer box set.
Oh my God, rad. You guys, you can get it too. The link's in the show notes.
Foot out jerk food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. 100 foot out.
Hey everybody, welcome to the QuiverCast, where we chat with surfers from all around the world, from all walks of life, and we get their story. Find us at www.thequivercast.com. I am Mike, your host. Let's get into the show. Hello, everyone. This is Mike here with the QuiverCast, and I'm stoked. I have Love Hodel here. How are you doing, Love?
Oh, good. Good over here. Thank you.
Good. In Hawaii.
We're over here in Hawaii, up in Pupukea, up in the hills.
Up in the hills. Like, let's go way back.
Yeah.
How'd you get into surfing?
I got into surfing because I live right along the beach, and starting off in Kailua, but then when we moved to Waikiki, and we did because we got priced out of Kailua, Mom was pretty poor, so we moved over there, and it was kind of a crazy jungle, a lot of wildness, and my mom had a really crazy life. She was surrounded by a lot of, I don't know, just crazy individuals, people that we wouldn't want kids to be around.
Oh, okay.
So then I just turned my eyes towards the ocean, I guess. That's my only take on it. And then that's just basically was my outlet to get away from the weirdness.
So just being on the island near the water. Anybody else in your family surf?
No, I have a brother named Joy, though, and he introduced me to surfing.
Okay.
And I think the reason why he did it was to get me away from the crazy household.
Okay, older brother?
Older brother, yeah.
Okay.
A couple of years older.
So he didn't actually surf, or he kind of just a little bit?
Nah, he wasn't much of a water junkie like I became.
You get hooked on it, or what? Like, how does it feel so far in your life?
Oh, man, I got so hooked onto it. It was basically like my happy place. That's what it became. It became my excitement, my adrenaline, opposed to, say, somebody on land who's into, say, baseball, football, soccer. That's their outlet.
Yeah.
Or even in Hawaii, canoe paddling, etc. I was so into the surfing aspect because it was constantly challenging. And my brain's always, I think, really fast, thinking way, way ahead. And I wanted to catch up to it. And then also at the same time, it was an outlet to be away from the weird lifestyle that my mom had.
Okay.
So, it was like, I guess the dopamine really kicked in, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get aboard? I mean, like, was your mom like helping you surf? Was your family helping you surf, or were you kind of?
No, Mom really didn't help much. So we lived in the Ilikai Hotel from basically my adolescent years, right? And that's right in front of Kaiser Bowls, Ala Bowls, Rock Piles.
Yeah.
It's, right next to the Hilton Hawaiian Village. And I knew all the Beach Boys who ran all the services down there at the Hilton Hawaiian Village since I was really young, since 7, 8 years old. So my mom was really poor, so my option was to earn it, earn money to get what I wanted and also to help out with the family. So I ended up working for the Beach Boys a lot and saving up my own money to buy my first board. And that first board that I bought, it was a 6'4". Back then we rode bigger boards. Everybody's into shorter boards,
Yep.
I think I got a little bit of advice from somebody's like, I think it was Buttons.
Really?
Buttons and Mark Lydell. Yeah. They were like, hey, little, because I was always borrowing a board. Like, you got to get your own board, Grom, let's get you a board made. And then I ended up just getting a secondhand but in really good condition board, which was from Australia, called Ocean Moves Australia. It was the wildest thing, and that was my pride and possession for, I don't know, 3-4 years, something like that.
Wow. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it had it had basically channels on the bottom of the board from the nose to the tail.
Really? That's interesting.
And they weren't sharp edge channels. They were channels that almost were like waves.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd the board work?
Well, I thought I was ripping, of course. But I don't know. All I know is one of the most exciting feelings because when I first started, I was still touching onto a single fin.
Oh, okay.
And I forgot who lent me the board or let me use it for as long as I want. But it had it was a single fin with a leash plug through the fin, I believe.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
And it was not an elastic leash. It was like basically hard rope. So when it would tug hard, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the guys like Buttons and Mark Lydell and whoever else is out on the shore, right, in town.
Oh, so
Killing
inspiring.
it.
Killing it, man. Those guys, I wanted to emulate basically the three people I wanted to emulate because I saw them every day surfing Kaisers was Buttons,
Mm-hmm.
Mark Lydell, and Larry Bertelman.
Wow.
I wanted to emulate their surfing because they were like magicians. Those guys were getting barreled in front of my eyeball, doing 360s while inside the barrel. And this is not like an over exaggeration from a kid. They were really doing it. And surfing so smooth with a lot of style. So I just wanted to copy them. I wanted to be them. I didn't want to necessarily be their wild characters. I just wanted to be their, emulate their surfing. And then one other guy was Rory Russell. He was just so smooth and classic and funny. So
Yeah.
I ended up being a regular footer. He's a goofy footer, but still I wanted to be just like him.
Was Rory surfing there too a lot?
Yeah, he surfed all over town. Of course, country too, but he was everywhere. He was like a fine Waldo. Everywhere you look, there he'd be.
I mean, I don't know the other guys, but I know Rory, and
Yeah.
he's full-spirited kind of guy. Like,
Oh yeah.
How are these personalities on sand, on the land and sand?
It's he's a talk show. Like Roy Russell's a talk show
Yes,
on
he
land.
is.
You know what I mean? As well as in the water, but he seems to quiet down a little bit more in the water and just do his surfing.
Okay.
Yeah, on land, it's just nonstop. Page turner, nonstop book, nonstop show.
What about the other guys, Buttons and all those?
Oh, Buttons was another one of those guys who once he got to land in the water as well, but once he got to land, he was talkative and sharing knowledge and giving advice and telling us where to go. Mark Lydell is a different cat. He was nonstop in the water, out of the water, just chatterbox, nonstop jokes, prankster, kind of make you feel comfortable,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. He was a great guy to really grow up surfing with, and I saw him almost every day.
What about any other Groms out there with you when you were a Grom?
The Groms in my era, really, really good surfer. His name is Shane Ogatani. He was like such a rad little powerhouse. Not little, he's kind of strong and thick, but he was one of the guys that I grew up surfing with out there. Another guy, Scotty Fountain. He was a really, really good surfer. He was kind of like, we thought he was like our next hope coming out of town to be a professional surfer. But he ended up being a kind of a cruiser, mellow guy, and he just wanted to surf work. He wasn't too interested in chasing the dream, which some of us have that dream, you know what I mean? But there wasn't a big influence for the most part of aspiring professionals surfing in those areas, like especially Kaiser's area, which was my home break.
Yeah.
Not until I kind of started realizing I want more, I want bigger waves, just because I had a desire for it. And then once coming out to the North Shore, then the real show began, the real understanding as well of, wow, this is where it's at. This is not just for being an aspiring surfer, but this is where it's at for surfing, pushing your limits in powerful surf and bigger waves.
You said competitive, had the dream. Did you have a dream? At a young age, I mean?
Not really. I had the dream that I had was to push my own limit.
Okay.
And the dream I had was move out to the North Shore and surf bigger waves, draw bigger lines, and perfect them. That was my dream. And of course, we have these competitive dreams, surfing all those little amateur events, which I usually paid for on my own, earned the money on my own, with an exception here and there. My mom would help out with those, like in the Hawaii Amateur Surfing Associations or the NSSAs or some specialty little Grom events. But the real dream, like I said, was just capitalizing on being a better surfer in bigger waves and really using your rail and just pushing your limit. That was my dream.
So you make it over to the North Shore. Do you remember the first time you surfed there? It was solid?
Yeah, the first time I really made it over there on a solid day was at Rocky Point. It was
Okay.
probably like a 3 to 5 foot day, and that's just borderline, 5 feet's borderline over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
An old uncle took me out to the North Shore. Rest of his soul, he passed away some time ago. That was Blackie, John Kealoha.
Okay.
I believe relation to just recently late Dan Kealoha.
Yeah.
He took me out there when I was about 12 years old. He just saw my desire to want more. That was it. I never turned back. I couldn't get away from it. The water was so beautiful. The waves were, so much more powerful, and it was allowed me to get so much more speed. It was just like I don't know, it was an adrenaline junkie, just wanting it more and more. And that was it. I was hooked.
What was the difference between surfing Kaisers and all of a sudden you're on the North Shore? Were they
It's
even
definitely,
relatable?
yeah, there's relatable and complete polar opposites.
Okay.
It had two different energies. Town was pretty wild back then. There was a lot of heavy localism, sometimes unnecessary localism, like pretty stupid and mouthy and loud. And somebody would accidentally burn somebody, and people would get boards and break fins and tell them to beat it or punch them out. It was a full pirate ship scenario. And the waves were weak and too playful. In contrast, the North Shore was big, raw, powerful, even when it was smaller. And yes, there was localism there, but it was almost like a quiet localism. It was regulated with etiquette
Okay.
more so than town. Town had a little bit less etiquette, more wild.
Yeah. If you're not recognized, there could be trouble, kind of thing.
There could be trouble. Not only that, but if you're not recognized, then you'd be, the old cliche, sitting on the shoulder, sitting in the sidelines.
Yep. Yep.
And maybe gracefully asked to, like waved over, get over here, or yelled at to go on something. You know what I mean? You're like, yippee, my turn.
Yeah. 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 Do you remember your turn, getting your opportunity, where you kind of became one of the guys?
That was a lifetime. That takes a lifetime to really get there. And back in my younger years, a lot of the surfers in the lineup were adults, mature adults. Not many kids at all were surfing back then. And I think from around 12 years old till about 17, 18, 19 years old is when I was like still borderline earning any type of scraps to get a little bit of a wave. Maybe that was in a little bit when I was around 18, 19, there was a transition of some of those heroes that we looked up to, as well as some of the staple local guys who kind of own the lineups, started to move on or move or slowly not surf anymore. So that was maybe a transition into my age group falling into about halfway up that triangle ladder.
Okay.
To finally get some more of the waves and sit a little bit more at the peak, and not really, I don't want to say command respect, but because it was not really a command respect back when I was 18, 19 years old, it was more of you're obviously know what you're doing. You have some skill set, and other people coming up who were younger or visiting didn't have that skill set in those lineups because they didn't surf it enough. Yeah. So there was respect that way. You know what I mean?
Okay. What was your attitude towards other outsiders?
Once again, my era, we were a little bit more open. Like I surfed a lot with Sean Briley, Poncho Sullivan, Miles Padaka, Kahea Hart, Tamile Perry.
Wow.
And then, of course, there were some West Side boys from Oahu who would come over, and that was like Brian Pacheco. Some town guys that I grew up with, the Aaron and Darren Napoleon brothers. And we had a different way about working around people who were coming over and flooding the lineups.
Okay.
We had more respect for people who were just going to try to catch enough waves or try to get their fill, but they were more polite about it, so we were polite back to them. And unless it was a really, really good A-plus wave,
okay,
so we'd be willing to share a wave here and there, but they wouldn't get too greedy. Nowadays, it's really greedy out in the lineups. I'm sure you experienced that where you're from, too.
What do you mean?
Just
Like
Etiquette, no etiquette,
no
greediness.
etiquette. Yeah. Okay.
A lot of paddling around, backpedaling.
Yeah.
People,
100%.
even though people nowadays they can say, "Oh, I didn't know," or "I didn't see you." When you're in the water, you're very observant. You have to be, because or else you could get hurt by a board
Yep.
or be in somebody's way. Even when you make it back out to the lineup, say after getting a wave, they're very aware of who's had a wave. They know, but they don't care. In our era, we were very aware who hasn't had a wave.
Rotation, you mean?
Yeah, within the locals, we
Yeah.
created a really good rotation. And we also were really good about, you know what, this visitor's been waiting a while. Let's let this person go, you know?
Okay.
It's different back then opposed to now. I think there's too many people in the water, probably.
Are you still surfing town a lot?
Yeah.
Or do you avoid it?
No. I go straight to Kaiser's. I know everybody there. You know,
Okay.
I know some of the crazy people. No teeth, all just psycho-eyed.
Yeah.
And then I don't know some of the younger generation, but it's still the same vibe and same wave, and I know it so well. So it's too easy to get waves. And now I go there with my son, who's a surfer.
Yep.
So it's really fun to share that with him.
Before we get into your family life, doing the contest, were you seeing success when you were younger?
Yeah, I saw success. Maybe not the competitive results I always wanted, but I had quite a lot of quarterfinals and semifinal finishes in the events at home in Hawaii, with a couple of finals as well. But success was coming from the sponsorship side.
Okay.
Back then, man, we were getting paid so well. I assume just for the image of a local kid surfer, you know, getting good waves there, and of course all the magazine coverage, which don't exist anymore. Magazines are gone.
Yep.
But yeah, getting all that coverage back then, they saw the value and validity in what they paid us.
Okay.
So I was successful in that way, making an income and getting long contracts. So that was great.
And how did you make that happen? Were you working with photographers or?
Yeah. Well, you know, we weren't really trying too hard to work with photographers. We
Oh,
just
you
saw
weren't.
that the waves were good,
You went
and
there.
we're like, holy crap, let's go.
Okay.
Right.
All
Like
right.
I remember, I've had mornings. Like I remember one morning, Sean Briley came to my door at like 5:30 in the morning. I think he was out all night, and love is at my like a screen scratcher, you know, like love, get up. I'm like, what the hell? It's like 5:30. It's all pipes firing, and I'm like, no, I heard it's kind of northy. He's like, no, there's gems out there. It was second reefing and a lot of closeouts with a random gem.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the guy freaking pulls me out there. And wait, so I see him get a stand-up barrel into a closeout. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. And yes, he was out all night, by the way. Like he was reeking of alcohol and just,
Yeah.
yippee. So probably I was too, but I got to bed earlier.
Yeah.
And my first wave, I take off, and it's probably about a 10-foot wave. It was a second reef roll in. And I go to pull in, and it looked nice at first with a little bit of a northwest angle, so it had a cup to it. But then a north wall connected, and it closed out. So I just went, oh, shit, just a routine pull and close out. But I blew my left knee.
Oh, shit.
Blew my left knee out there, and I'll never forget it. Marvin Foster, rest his soul as well, he carried me up the beach.
Wow.
And helped me out, yeah.
So what does it feel like to have like a major injury and you're at pipe? Like you were able to paddle in, I guess. It was your knee.
Yeah. My I just basically blew my my MCL and my cartilage.
Yeah.
It just sucked because right there, right when that happens, you're like, oh man, there's my winter. My winter's gone.
Yeah, at least.
You know, I don't get to get barreled. I don't get to get more spit outs. I don't get to freaking scream with my friends in the lineup, you know? Yeah.
So these guys you're hanging out with too, like the Sean Briley and all these guys have, I've never met them, but they have the persona of a lot of personality too.
Oh yeah.
I
mean,
Sean
was the best, man. You kidding me?
Wow.
Or he still is the best.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he still surfing?
No. God darn it. Can't get him out there into the water at all.
Right on.
Yeah.
But so you were hanging out with these guys and you guys are pushing each other or?
Yeah. We're just constantly.
Is it friendly or is it like shit talking or like, what's it like?
Oh no, just more. I think it's just more when you're around just such intense energy. It's
Yeah.
just the energy is pushing you and pushing. It's pushing each other. Your friend's getting an amazing wave, and then you want to get an amazing wave as well, just
Right.
like them. Yeah, it's just that nonstop rotation of like pushing each other with energy. There was no envious feelings. There was no jealousy. It was more like, I want to do what that person just did
Yeah.
because of their excitement that they just had from it,
Okay.
So I want that excitement. It's like I said, it was that adrenaline junkie thing, that dopamine kicking in.
So you're surfing. Where's your spot on the North Shore? Was Pipe the place? Is that where you like to go, or Sunset, or?
Yeah, Pipe and Sunset. I mean, I have affinity for both. Back then, it was just nonstop Pipe, backdoor, off the wall area, and of course, as well as Sunset. Later on, it was more of a Sunset scenario because Pipe started to get so crowded and overwhelming. Especially into my like 30s. It's just too much. I could still do it, and I still do it out there. I love
Okay.
it, but the crowds are so overwhelming, especially when it comes to etiquette, which seems to be gone. But so Sunset is where I go to for the most part.
Right. So in the era, let's say '90s, it was a little more locally regulated, probably Pipe. Late '80s, '90s.
Oh, 100% regulated by people who I admire their freaking ferocious tenacity out there, like Johnny Boy Gomes.
Right.
And
That's the guy that always comes to mind, right?
oh yeah, well yeah, he just owned it out there, and he commanded so much respect and so much space,
Mm-hmm.
like to stay clear. Because I think once he touched the water, he was, I'm talking about that adrenaline junkie,
Yes. Yes.
but his went to like 100th level. So you'd want to stay clear because he was so in the zone. He did not want to be bothered. He couldn't be bothered. He was feeding on himself so much, and it was quite admirable to watch and see, and take notes from the beach, take notes from the water. I owe a heavy influence of him by watching him to get to where we did get back then and riding the barrel and pushing our limits.
With that being said, and not him for an example, but whoever it was at the point, was there a
Yeah.
certain point where there's a few guys or a guy out there that you would just wait for him to get in, and then it was your opportunity to paddle out there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, just let them get their fill.
They are dominating the lineup. Let
No,
them have
we
their
would paddle
fill.
out there and we'd wait for scraps, or we'd wait for them to get a wave. And after they got a wave, then we'd be like, okay, is there anything available for us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you'd be worried if you'd get a barrel and they're paddling him back out. You didn't want to get near him or hit him, because there was a lot of times
Yeah.
people would get run over.
When do you think the whole thing changed at Pipe? And what, like, just the last 10, 15 years, or it's kind of
Like as far as the
the
lawless
lineup?
lineup,
The lineup, yeah.
I think it's changed now for about, I'll say, a good 15 years or so.
Okay.
It's kind of just been it's lost its lawless, man. It's gone.
Why did that happen, and how did it happen?
I don't know. I don't know how it really happened. I think there was a lot of points where in the lineup people were getting regulated verbally,
Okay.
physically. Their equipment were getting physically destroyed because people were completely blowing it out there, and mainly visitors. I hate to say that word, but
No,
mainly anybody
it's
who
fact.
was not from Hawaii coming over were if you weren't giving aloha and if you weren't acting in order, you were getting not given aloha and you were getting order.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how to explain it really, except for a lot of those heavy people, they're not in the lineups anymore, and I think the people that are visiting have noticed that.
Okay. And,
One, two, there's a lot more cameras in the past 15 to 20
yeah.
years, a lot more eyes on, a lot more instant sharing, like in social media,
Yeah. So
and
you
that's when
don't
you
want
get
the
people
law
in
on you,
trouble.
or getting
Yeah, well, no,
canceled.
yeah, law or canceled, I guess you could say, because people are still trying to make somewhat of a livelihood out of surfing,
Yeah.
and everything's gone so extremely corporate, so they're just kind of following that fad.
Yeah. Taking advantage
And
of it.
taking advantage of it, biting. Yeah, a lot of people are taking advantage of it, and the locals are kind of biting their tongue because they realize that.
With that being said, though, these people paddling out, some of them probably shouldn't be out there, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I mean, there's people who paddle out on a wave storm soft top,
Oh,
hanging
it's
off half
stupid.
their
Yeah.
body off the board, paddling out.
Are
And
you
we're like,
serious?
what
At pipe?
the fuck? Hey, do you see that? Sorry about swearing.
No, it's fine.
What? Are you kidding me? Do you see it out there?
That's
And
so
nobody's
crazy.
making a move. And how many times I've had to paddle up to somebody and go, hey, I'm not trying to be like a dick or anything, but
Yeah.
I've never seen you out here before, and you don't even. It seems like you don't know what's going on, and they usually take offense.
Yeah, it's
Like,
crazy, right?
it's
You're trying to
crazy.
help
I
them.
know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay. Well, I just want to let you know, it's kind of big, and you really shouldn't be like too deep over here. They don't listen, and sure enough, within minutes, they're screaming for help. Help!
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we told you.
And speaking of pipe, since pipe's been in the limelight, especially with
Yeah.
WSL and pro surfing and the women surfing there, has
Yeah.
that changed? Have more women going out there recently?
Yeah. 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 It's great to see. Actually, I guess over the past 10 years or so, or 12,
Okay.
you could definitely see a little bit more of a presence out there because, of course, there's a few more women coming out in the lineup. So other women are, following suit. Like they want a piece of that fun and that excitement.
Yeah.
It's good to see. I really like it, but I really don't like the fact that they totally still get taken advantage of and people are paddling around them a lot. And I notice it because I'm out there a lot with a woman in particular. I'm out there with Carissa Moore surfing a lot.
Yep.
And I notice that the men don't care and they still try to backpedal them, even when it's like a smaller wave that they don't really need to go get.
Really?
Give it to the Wahine, bro. Give it to the Keiki as well, on the small
And she
side.
probably
Like,
surfs better than him, honestly.
she smokes so many of them. She's so
Right.
good, but she's so humble, so she really won't battle with them.
Wow, that's
But
crazy.
it's so, and there's other women out there too that are doing just as good. And you got to look at Moana. Moana
Of course.
Jones. She has just stepped it up, and she's so graceful out there. I consider her like Jerry Lopez of women surfing. She's
Yeah.
just so damn good. She charges as well, but even still, then when it's crowded, I could see her frustrations too, getting paddled around or back paddled.
So there's probably frustration even with the guys, right? I mean, I'm assuming it's just frustrating for most people, unless you're Johnny Boy or
Yeah.
somebody like that.
Oh, it's like going to a theme park. It's like going to freaking Six Flags Magic Mountain, and you're trying to get in line in
Right.
a hurry before other people, and you're getting impatient, and you're trying to make sure and look down the line like that person's not cutting, are they?
Wow.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So what's more dangerous at pipe now? I mean, the wave clearly can kill you, but some of the
Yeah.
board can kill you too.
Geez, the most dangerous thing out there are just the people.
Yeah. More than
Yep.
the wave even, huh?
More than the wave nowadays. I think it always was the people that were the most dangerous out there. Of course, and the wave can, break your body. It could kill you, et cetera, et cetera.
You competed during ASP. So you did NSSA, you worked your way up to ASP, right? You did some events?
Yeah, yeah. Yep. When I was younger, I did, I dabbled. I wasn't really too much into the NSSAs and HASAs, even though I did do them. I didn't use that as a stepping stone. I didn't have any like projected goal.
Okay.
I did them because I'm just competitive.
Yeah.
I'm extremely competitive, so I did them. But finally, when I moved out of town when I was about 18 to the North Shore, that adrenaline for those competitions in particular was the XL Pro at Sunset. That was
Okay.
like the staple. Just wanted to do that and prove to myself that I am actually surfing that wave as good as I thought I was.
Okay.
And why not do it in competition? And then everything just, came together from there.
And how did you do during those events?
Oh, like I said, during those years surfing in the Hawaii competitions, I probably had like just nonstop quarterfinal finishes
Wow.
or
Yeah.
semifinal finishes. Yearly, maybe not every single year, but in probably 3/4 of my years in competition. Usually finishing in the top, at least 16 in the events. I was really proud about that. It made
Yeah.
me feel good about doing so well in them. still, when you're not making it to the podium, you're always, hard on yourself.
Yeah.
But whatever, in the long run, it was a whatever. It's like I'm still enjoying myself in the game, and it still created my worth and validity for my sponsors. So that was really, really cool, exciting thing.
Were you actually striving to keep the pro career going, or was it just you love surfing and this is the best way to keep you surfing?
Well, both.
Okay. I guess they're hand in hand.
Yeah, they're hand in hand, Since I lived on the North Shore, we would wait all year for those waves to come. So then when the waves came and there was a contest and other people were coming and entering the contest, myself and others would be like, well, if you're going to enter it, I'm going to enter it because
Of course.
I want to prove to myself and to you and to the surfing world that I'm just as good. It's not just because you're a traveling pro that you're better than, a lot of the surfers here in Hawaii. So it was a little bit of an ego thing, I guess you could say.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have the desire to do the whole travel? Let's pack a suitcase and go.
I did. I got on the dancing floor and I danced all over the world. From Japan to Africa and Australia and all over the States and Europe. Never very successful because while we were traveling, we were also like, holy crap, this is an experience to like check out the world and soak in different cultures. We weren't so into training back then. There was not really, nowadays everybody has their suitcase in their hand like I'm training and I'm healthy. We were smoking cigarettes, we were drinking nonstop. Woohoo! It was a party.
Yeah.
It's a full party tour, and actually it was a lot more fun than nowadays. Nowadays it's boring. Just to watch it and see it, but the surfing is that much better. So I get it.
Phenomenal.
But if we had that, we actually had that mindset to be physically strong, like they are nowadays, we probably would have had a hell of a lot more good results.
Yeah.
But I don't care. I wouldn't take it back for anything. We got to freaking travel the globe and meet people and soak in those cultures, like I said, and party and laugh and just some of the things we did, like the airplanes, literally the airplanes that we took over with like 150 people, surfers, the airplanes running out of alcohol. And back then there was smoking allowed in the back of the jet.
Yeah.
So it was just freaking chaos, and ukuleles and guitars were busted out and we were just singing and taking over. It was funny. Good times.
The pros then were pro surfers, right? Do you think they were actually athletes or were they just surfers?
Just surfers, brother.
Yeah, that's what I think so too, yeah.
They're just
surfers. There may have been a few guys that were taking it serious.
Yeah. Absolutely. But the majority of us, we're just having fun, man. And money was getting thrown out left and right. The events back then paid you in cash and any of your earnings. So you're like, you see this green pile of dough. Like, whippy. Yeah.
Personality-wise, though, today, the
pro
surfers today, if you let's say watching WSL, no surfer in particular, I think back then the guys even you saw in town growing up, your friends, you and your friends, and even the pro surfers of the 80s and 90s, they had personality. Now, pro surfing, do you think it has the personality it did back then?
Not from what I see. Yeah. They don't have the same personality as back then. There was a lot of comedians, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funniness. There was a lot of flavor. I mean, one of the guys was Gerlach. He was so priceless.
That was hilarious.
Traveling with him was funny, man. And like Donovan Frankenreiter as well. And the Malloy brothers were classic. They were funny characters to see all over the place. And then, like my good friends Pancho and Miles and Kahea and all these people who are like dancing a little bit on the dance floor to see if they could do well in any events. There was so much damn comedy. I mean, I could dig into the archives in the brain and just unleash how much fun it was. Nowadays, I don't see that. And I'm around those event sites, especially here in Hawaii and a few events abroad. It just doesn't seem like there's as much anarchy as it was back then,
Okay.
Yeah.
But the surfing is impressive today. So
the surfing is light years different than it was back then. I attribute that to probably health. Those guys are staying healthier And of course, the equipment
I was gonna say,
evolved.
yeah.
Yeah, but the mental tenacity back in my era, being not necessarily the healthiest surfers, I think was actually stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had to be mentally stronger. I assume our bodies were, since our engines weren't working quite the way they should, our minds had to be.
Okay, fair
Yeah,
enough. So now you have a son that surfs, right? I'll lead into
yeah.
that. How old's your son?
His name is Haven,
Yep.
and he is 13. He'll be 14 in like a few weeks.
And then
Yeah.
when did you guys start surfing together? Like, how old was he when you said it's time?
He was one.
Yeah,
He was one
just
and a
like
half.
barely standing up, probably.
Barely saying it's just putting him on the front of the board. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but he's not a surf junkie. He
Really?
yeah, he's a multifaceted human being. He
Cool.
likes to ride motocross. He likes to skateboard. He likes to surf, of course. He likes to foil board. He likes to mountain bike. He likes to free dive. He's super into free diving and fishing. So he likes to do it all. So he doesn't dedicate himself strictly into surfing, and that's because of me. I wasn't the surf coach dad. I just organically let him do what he wants, keep him in a nice, healthy, positive lane,
Okay.
but let him explore what he wants. And it's really crazy, though, because when he goes surfing, like I've entered him into a couple of events, and he wanted to because his buddies were in them.
Right reason, I believe, to do it, too.
Yeah. Yeah, his buddies were doing it. He'd be like, yeah, I'll do it. And then he would go out there in his first heat, and no joke, he would get like a 9 and an 8.5.
Wow.
So my jaw's on the ground. My friend's next to me are like, what the heck? Like, what is he doing? And I'm like, I don't know, but fuck, I'll take it. This is awesome. And then he'll make it and he'll kill it in that heat. In the next heat, he'll go out there and for 15 or 20 minutes, he'll be on his back, spitting water out of his mouth, looking at the sky and swimming down below and looking at the fish. And you hear the announcer like, oh, Haven Hodel still hasn't had a wave. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Oh my gosh. But I just soak it up. You hold my tongue, let him do it. And he comes in and he said, hey, Dad, you said you've always told me that the best surfer is having the most fun out there. And I was having fun in the water.
Oh, there you go.
So a little kick in the jaw right there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys have traveled too. You've taken them to some different destinations.
Oh, yeah. That little lucky brat. He's been to Costa Rica.
Wow. Cool.
He's been to Australia a few times actually. Of course, the mainland. He got to really experience that really cool wave up in Yeppoon in Australia, that plunger wave pool.
Okay. I wanted to talk about that.
The surf lakes, man. He's so stoked.
How is that wave?
Amazing. It's amazing. It literally feels and looks and acts like a real wave.
Wow.
Opposed to like wave pools where the water's rushing up against your rail and wanting to pull your board away.
Okay.
It literally feels like a groundswell wave that's pushing forward.
Well, is that open to the public yet?
It wasn't open to the public. I was a friend of mine invited me to go.
So lucky
to go there, and he said have some developers in the mainland who want to build one, and I want to bring you because I'd like you to be like the surf liaison to the wave pool.
Really awesome.
Yeah. So and he's like, yeah, bring your kid too, and we're just gonna have some fun for a few days. So that's basically what happened. We were doing a little R&D.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long did you get to surf it? Like all those days? Like several days?
3 days, I think it was. 2 full days and 1 quarter day. Yeah. Yeah, it was a really fun wave and hung out with Aki, and we had some laughs, me, Mark, and Akalupo and I, because we had some rivalry back in the day whenever he was in Hawaii. We had some fights. It was just priceless. We were dying laughing.
Really? So you want to tell us about like you and Aki or your friends and Aki kind of situation?
It was more just me and Aki. Like,
really? Okay.
It started off at Haleiwa. I think it was just when he was just making his comeback, so he was still at a low point in his health and partying wise.
Yep.
It was a small day at Haleiwa, and we were in the same heat together. And he tried his best to push me because back then there was no priority, so he was trying to keep me from getting a wave. And he did his job on keeping me off the right. or how was it actually? Let me figure this out. Okay, never mind. He was on the inside and I was on the shoulder.
Okay.
The right was a closeout. It was a small day, so it was mostly lefts.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was pushing the envelope to go right, even though he was going to go right and then switch left.
Yep.
And I was on the inside of him to go left. So I went, he stood up, we crossed paths, he fell down, then I continued left.
Okay.
He got the interference, he
Interference,
didn't
of
make the
course.
heat. I made the heat. We're at the shower, rinsing off, and he's cussing at me. I'm going to get you fucking kicked off this side. You're done, mate. Frick, all the boys are going to knock you out. And I'm like, oh, yeah? And we're at the shower, so I'm like, give it your best shot, bro. Let's go. He's like, just go around the building. I'm like, no, I want to embarrass you in front of everybody right here.
Wow.
He
That's
did
so
some
funny.
silly high kick. I grabbed his leg midway, and I held onto it, and I stared at his knee. I'm like, I'm going to snap your knee in half. And at the same time, some of the Hawaiian brothers we know came and broke it up, right?
Okay.
And get rid of this guy. This guy's a blah, blah, who is he? And they all just put their hands up. I'm like, sorry, you're on your own because we know this. He's a local kid,
Yeah.
So that didn't work out too well for him, the fight. So it was like almost complete blows, but it got stopped. That night, I happened to work at Chart House in Haleiwa. I wasn't quite a waiter yet, which is now Haleiwa Joe's, right?
Okay.
Not quite a waiter yet. And he came in. He did not even really recognize me. It was really strange. And I had a bottle of Visine and I squeezed it all into his food because back then it had something in it. It would you could have diarrhea, right?
Oh shit.
I don't think he noticed it because he continued on to party. He went to town and raged all night. So if he had diarrhea, it could have been because of the partying or my Visine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was one of the stories we talked about. And then the same season, the next event was at Sunset. And same scenario. I'm in a heat with him, probably because I'm the lower seed, right?
Yeah. He's a higher seed.
We're in the event. I didn't catch a wave for almost the whole heat. It was about a 10 to 12 foot day, getting caught by waves, a lot of paddling. And in 20 minutes or 25 minutes to catch a wave out there, sometimes impossible when it's that big.
Yeah.
He ended up paddling me he was on my inside, so towards Sunset Point, and he ended up paddling me deeper and deeper towards the point. And it was a north swell day where it's going in the other direction towards the bowl.
Okay.
Just to keep me off the wave. He pushed me deep enough to the point where there's no way with this 45 seconds left this kid can get this right because they're all going to go too fast and close out. So he stopped. So I just wanted to catch a wave just to go in, like just to stand up on my feet and lay down if I had to.
Yeah.
I got to my feet on this wave that he stopped paddling me on and he just let it go. I'm like, okay. And I take off and I look left. I'm like, oh, I'll just do a churn and go in. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I look at this wave. I'm like, holy crap, it's barreling. So I pulled up into this wave, got a barrel, spit out, got a 9.5, knocked him out of advancing position and won the heat. It's so funny. So that was part of our conversation too, just having giggles about the anger and animosity and the stupidness back in the day that one could have had probably because he was high as a kite or just thinking I'm better than you, I deserve,
Right.
That didn't work out too well for him.
No. But you know what? And it's competition but I guess back then it went to the street sometimes. As opposed
absolutely.
to today, I don't know. Maybe they are. At least there was rivalries and there was, passion.
It doesn't exist anymore, brother. It's like that type of thing is dissipated and gone. I mean, I can't.
Is that good or bad?
I'm not. Like it's yin and yang, man. I think there should be some type of not really strong arming, but order, some type of order, and you step out of order. Long story short, if you're not going to give aloha, which everybody should give, period. Okay. If you're not going to give it, then I don't think the universe should give it back to you the way you want it.
Okay.
And I think there should be a little bit of control in some way, shape, or form. And if it boils down to a scrap, which is so ogre and so Neanderthal, then so be it.
Don't call the cops.
Don't call the cops. If you're gonna bark back and you're gonna act like you're Mr. Superior or tough guy, then you got to be willing to step up to the plate. And that was my area with it. With a name like Love, it was so hard sometimes to perpetuate love, and that's what my mom named me, Love,
Yeah.
to perpetuate that.
I never thought about that.
And it was hard because it was like an internal battle, especially when somebody just acted like a complete idiot, whether it was to me or to somebody. I just felt like the need to be Robin Hood and set things straight. And I had my fair share of scraps. I had my fair share of hitting people who were acting up, which, like I said, does not perpetuate love at all. But it was just an instantaneous, like a great white shark when they're attacking, their eyes roll back
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know or see what they're doing. It was kind of the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
That adrenaline kicks in and that anger can take over. But it worked. It was efficient. It really taught people how to regulate themselves in the lineups. You know, to okay, wait a minute, I got to have a little more etiquette, or else I'm gonna get slapped around or barked at pretty heavily.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not there anymore, like we just talked about.
Right.
So
Of course.
they're like, it
So-
seems to be a little bit more like, I can get away with things.
So how do you teach your son? Does he, I mean, obviously most people, especially at a young age, it becomes understanding just by doing the act of surfing. You see how the lineups are. How are things different when you see him paddle out?
He seems like an eager beaver, like a lot of his other
Grounds.
buddies. They want to like, since they don't see the regulation, they don't know that you should actually be in, like, give positive rotation. Maybe you might get one or two extra waves, and from that moment you should realize, wait a minute, somebody else, should be have their turn.
Yeah.
I see that with, like, say, my son. He'll start, and if I'm in the water, he'll start to get a little eager, and I'll grab his ankle and I'll pull him. I'm like, hey, that lady. Mostly with women and other keiki, I'm like, hey, let that girl go, bro. Let that mom go. She's an auntie who's like has maybe an hour to surf. Let her go.
Yeah.
As well as with other kids, I'm like, hey, pay attention. I'm really into it.
Yeah. That sounds like
yeah. So now that's created him to have etiquette, but unfortunately the surrounding people don't have it, so he probably gets less waves than he should or could, should I say. But I don't care, and he doesn't care because he's just having fun, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a stunt man too. How'd that happen?
Oh, man, you know what? How it happened was through Brian Keolana.
Okay.
He just approached me one day. I had a little bit of a stint of taking martial arts, and one of them was Wing Chun, which is Kung Fu. And my uncle was also a Golden Gloves boxer, so he taught us a lot about boxing for safety.
Right.
So Brian kind of knew that, Love can handle his own, and he looks also a particular type for what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, of course, the bad white guy who came to Hawaii and was trying to overthrow the Hawaiian kingdom.
Okay.
I was the bad white guy. He just knew that I had a little bit of that background, so he just said, hey, Love, we got this movie coming up, and we need some stunt guys, and I know you're not in stunts, but you think you can do this? You think you can, it could be a fight scene, it could be a gun scene. And I was like, wow, cool, fun. Yeah, I'll do it. The director ended up picking me to have a small part, not with lines per se, just like a couple of mumble jump words, but he picked me out of the bunch because I fit the bill. And from that day forward, things just it didn't really steamroll. It just came like a trickle flow.
Okay. What show or what movie was that?
That one was Princess Kailani.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And it never made it to the big screen, but it did make it to the big online screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is where it's at now today.
This is where it's at, this day and age. And then nowadays, everything's developed. I'm currently doing some stunt work on Lilo and Stitch.
Wow.
Of course, I've come a long way and learned so much more, like actually learning how to fall correctly from the air or on the ground, taking hits, giving hits, using guns properly.
So is there actually like a stunt class you take, or do you learn this you practice this yourself?
A bit of both.
Really?
It's good. It's good to take a class because you really learn from some of the best.
Wait, what's the class? I mean, where do you take it?
I've done a few with, like, there's a really cool stunt guy, but he's an amazing martial artist. His name is Darren Fujimori.
Okay.
And he's over here in Hawaii. So I took a class with him many, many years ago, and a real basic, like a lot
Wow.
of judo falls and judo rolls,
Okay.
using your hands as your first point of decompression for a fall so your body doesn't get it as hard.
Mm-hmm.
But more so organically, been coming up with just putting together a class.
Okay.
And the most recent one was with Brian Keolana, as well as a longtime stunt guy and friend, Keone Kramer. And we just flew to the Big Island like a few weeks ago during the Merry Monarch Festival and did a course there for a lot of the Hawaiians over there who
Wow.
have talent and need to be seen, but they need to learn what they're doing beforehand, you know?
Interesting.
It's kind of organic stuff put together. You learn a lot of stuff, Johnny on the spot. You YouTube it, even though YouTube some kind of teaches a lot of
Okay. Makes sense.
wrong ways to do things. But
Yeah.
Johnny on the spot during a shoot. And then the best is when we have rehearsal days. So that's all you learn right then. And a coordinator will tell you what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. Work on this, work on that.
Did that become like a full-time profession, or is this like a side gig? Like, what is?
Well, last year I looked at my, and did our taxes. I was like, wow,
Wow. Okay. Cool.
six digits. I was blown away,
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah.
And this is all in Hawaii. Do you have to leave? Do you have to go to the
This is
States?
everything has been in Hawaii. It's
Rad.
been great.
Close to home.
Close to home. I have a little bit of a desire to go abroad.
Really?
I'll be the small fish in the big pond in that world.
Okay.
So I'm lucky to be the medium fish in this pond over here.
Okay.
I would do it. I would dabble, but I'm really into my family and being around them a lot. So I don't know. It'd be really difficult. Yeah.
Is there any of this have to do with do you do water stunts too? Like, are you doing the big wave stuff, or is it all on land? Kind of the fight scenes and stuff.
Most everything. Isn't that ironic? I'm a surfer by nature.
Yeah.
But everything's been land. Everything's been taking hits, giving hits, shooting people, gun work. I mean, from Magnum PI to NCIS to Hawaii Five-0 to Lost. I just really want to attribute a lot of work. It was also because of our dear friend Brock Little. He got my foot in the door big time.
Really?
Yeah, he really was always pushing for me. That prick was always showing up to my house at like, who knows what time of night, burning out, doing donuts, like, love, get in the car.
Wow.
You want to be a black belt and driving? And then I'm like, I'm okay, dude. It's like 2 a.m. Go home. But yeah, he got me a lot of work and threw my name out there as much as he could,
How far did you guys go back, you and Brock?
I wasn't part of his power pack
Okay.
growing up surfing.
Yeah.
I was I wasn't too into the cliques in these power packs. Like, I love all the people, but I didn't like the packs that were created, like such as the Momentum generation.
Okay.
The people are fine. The people are great. But once it was a pack and it was a scene, it was a clique, I just went the other way. I've always been that guy. And he wasn't part of that type of a clique, but he had a really powerful, strong, tight circle, which really good human beings. But like I said, I wasn't into a tight group. I'm an open guy. I'm into hanging out with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just a tiny group. Go to their house every day, sit around, surf, sit around, surf, sit around, surf.
Okay.
So no, I wasn't really part of that. But we did go on a trip. 30 years ago.
Okay.
30 something odd years ago to Ireland. We were there for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I think we were the first major group to go covering it and doing a Surfer Magazine article.
Okay, cool.
With some amazing cinematographers. So we were the first to go with guys like, so it was me, Brock Little, Sean Briley.
Okay. 3 Hawaiians. That's like cold water, huge cold water destination.
So funny. Cody Graham was with us. Okay. Donovan Frankenreiter, Strider Wasilewski was with us. It was an amazing, amazing trip. But ever since then, we had an affinity for respect for each other.
Okay.
Because we got to know each other and realized that we're on the same level as respect.
Okay.
And he commanded so much respect. He was like my idol. But I went big with him. He said, "Love, let's go drink." I'm like, and nobody else would. I'm like, "Shoots, Guinness, here we go." You know what I mean?
There you go.
But yeah, anyway, long story short, I owe a lot to him, and I got to know him on a different level opposed to necessarily the surfing level. Yeah.
Yeah, personal level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
And then another thing is, on your Instagram, you do like
Yeah.
you're in Mammoth a lot. You have a place there, or do you
No,
just rent a place and snowboard or what? Or ski?
we just rack the freaking credit card bills and
Do
go.
you?
We're snowboard junkies, man.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we no place there. A lot of friends with places there,
Okay.
as well as in Utah, northern Utah. I don't know if I want to give the name away, but this
Yeah, it's okay.
place,
You don't have to.
we go to this place in Utah that is mind blowing, and
Really?
it's not the normal go to Johnny on the spot, like in Little and Big Cottonwood Canyons. It's far from there. It's just always has powder. It's always deep, and there's nobody around.
Wow.
Yeah, it's nice because there's nobody battling you for a wave, right?
Yeah.
You're on the mountain, the bowl's always there, or the line is always there, and it's an addiction, man. I like took off with a good friend of mine this winter. She's a girl, and my wife's like, "You're gonna go with Danielle?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm going with Danielle. She's your best friend too. We're gonna go shred for 4 days. Bye. I love you."
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we do all these strike missions.
Is your wife into snowboarding
Oh yeah,
and
she's.
surfing or no surf?
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
Oh,
my
she surf?
wife. She's born and raised on Kauai. She was raised by the lead bassist of the Surf Punks, John Hunt.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. And he moved over there in the early '70s and had her.
So let me ask you real quick. Do the surf
Yeah.
punks actually surf?
Oh yeah, all of them. You kidding
Are you
me?
serious? I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
know.
they
I don't
were.
know their history. I just remember seeing their little ad in the mag, right?
Yeah, they were all avid surfers.
Oh, that's rad. I did not know that.
Almost all the lyrics are pretty true to himself. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so she was raised by a really classic individual and started off with body surfing, boogie boarding, then surfing, and she still surfs
What's
a
your wife's
lot to
name?
this day. What's that?
Your wife's name?
Oh, her name is Amy.
Okay, Amy.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
rad. That's a rad story.
Yeah, Amy's awesome, and her dad was, that's another story in itself. Her dad was like probably one of the most forgiving, loving human individuals I've ever known, and he passed away from cancer a couple of years ago.
Oh, sucks. Sorry.
Yeah, it took over. I don't think I've ever seen anybody not be mad, not be angry,
Wow.
do things, fix it. Like he was Kauai's number one sound person,
Okay.
and instrument repair guy.
Wow.
And he would constantly repair people's stuff, even though they have owed him money for years for other repairs.
Okay.
But he looked at me one day, or I looked at him. I'm like, John, that guy still owes you money. Why don't you not fix it until you collect?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, who else is going to do the work then? That guy's not going to be able to play music. He's got to play music.
There you go.
He's just one of those guys, man.
Yeah, that's rad.
Yeah.
So I think there's still a lot more to talk about, and I want to kind of dig into your back family history.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that can go deep, right? And how
Very
you got
deep.
the name Love, and maybe your mom and even your grandfather.
Well, we'll just give you a quick hint. My brother's names are Peace and Joy, and then I'm Love.
Right? Yes.
So there's always a story behind something like that, right?
Is it okay? So let's real fast.
Yeah.
Your brother's names. What's their full names? Is it just Peace?
Peace's full name is Peace on Earth, Goodwill to All Men, Hodel.
Okay, that's
Yep.
so rad. But okay.
So rad. And then Joy's full name is Joy to the World, Hodel. And then Mom just gave me Love. She said love is all you really need, so Love Hodel. Isn't that classic?
Dude, that's rad.
Yeah.
Does your brothers on their birth certificate say that, and they have to write that like legally?
Yeah. Yeah, my brother was HPD for a while, so his middle tag,
Really?
it would say JTTW Hodel.
Oh, that's so funny.
So
Okay.
classic, yeah.
So you have this huge piece of history. I don't know if it directly affects you or what, but can we get into that maybe in a week or two?
Yeah, you kidding me? You know what? I think everything affects everybody directly or indirectly.
Okay, fair enough.
And our family name, history, mom's past, I think plays a major role in all of us, good and bad, and as well as life experiences along the way because of the good and bad.
Okay.
Yeah. Mom was raised by one sick individual, and moving forward, she might carried some of that darkness, but at the same time, she tried to create lightness, which was creating peace, joy, and love.
And she did that.
Well, yeah, apparently. Apparently she did that. She was best friends at one point with Timothy Leary,
Wow.
who of course was the main LSD advocate.
Of course. Yeah.
And she said that she was in the bath one day, and I think she said she was on LSD, and a voice came down and told her there needs to be more peace, joy, and love in this world.
And she brought it.
And she brought it.
All right, we're going to leave it at that. All right.
Leave it at that. Yeah.
All right, everybody. So this will be continued. This is Mike and Love, Hodel.
Yep.
And we'll be back shortly. All
Thank
right,
you.
We're out of here.
Thank you, everybody. Right on.
100 foot out choke food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. 100 foot out choke food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. You know we don't fuck with no cooks. You boo on my didgeridoo. They calling me dude. I'm stacking the loot. I'm ripping your chick in the coop. She grabbing a hold of my leggy. They jelly, they Gucci my weddy. The friends of Giuseppe, the chain is so heavy. She think that I'm charging the Eddie. 100 foot out choke food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. 100 foot out choke food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. Surf trap, I'm stacking that money. Cash. Four shots a red Ferrari. He starts to calling me Dundee. Diamonds are surfing McFlurry. She want me to teach her to surf. Splash. I'm pulling up, ripping the verse. I'm leaving these kooks in the hearse. They get moved 100 foot on their head. They get work. 100 foot out choke food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. 100 foot out choke food. 100 racks on a surf dude. Slippery, big guns like Mark Food. Trap jumping like a kangaroo. You know we don't fuck with no cooks. You know we don't fuck with no cooks. You calling me dude, I'm stacking the loot. I'm ripping your chick in the coop. You know we don't fuck with no cooks. You know we don't fuck with no cooks. They calling me dude, I'm stacking the loot. I'm ripping your chick in the coop.
Hey, you guys, Endless Summer box set. This thing is legit. It's authentic, numbered certificate in it. It has a 5-frame film strip from the original print. You will literally own a piece of history. It has a specially minted bronze medallion. Dude, that thing's sick. Okay, there's so much more here. Go to the show notes. There's a link on there. Go check this piece of history out. This thing's rad. Seriously. Smithsonian American History Museum has it. It took 4 years of research with 3.5 in production, all hand assembled. This thing's rad. So much to this awesome box set. Remastered DVD, sharper images than the original film, but dude, this thing's so sick. Link in the show notes.